We are in Proverbs chapter 27. We are beginning today in verse 10, but as we usually do, I want to go back one simply because it is connected to verse 10. So verse 9 is connected by way of subject to verse 10. So we did verse 9, but I just want to read it. Ointment and perfume delight the heart, and the sweetness of a man's friend gives delight by hearty counsel. That would be solid, good counsel. All right, as we mentioned last week, evil company corrupts good morals, good habits. That's what it does. When you have a good friend, you can get truly a good friend. You can get good advice from them of things that they're not pulling you into matters of foolishness, but actually influencing you for the better. Now, we come to verse 10. 10 also deals with friends. Do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend. Then it says this, nor go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. All right, so this is all one proverb, and it is saying that, okay, let's just bring up some other things. Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So a brother is there for that day of calamity. That brother can be there for when there are problems, when there is something that has gone wrong. The brother is there, and it says that a brother is born for adversity. That may very well be why your brother was born. But also notice in that same verse, 17:17, that a friend loves at all times. It's not saying that the brother is the better one. It's saying you have both. You have friends, and then you also have a brother that can do this. And a friend may very well have been born for adversity as well. That you can, in fact, count on these. But in verse 10, it is saying, do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend to go a distance and get your brother for help when you have someone closer by. And it would be your friends, and your father also has friends. And I know from personal experience that, my father's friends were more than willing to help me when I needed help. I mean, I wasn't really their friend. They didn't know me very well, but they knew my dad. And for the sake of him, and that they would gladly do things for me, and did. And we just come with this principle, better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. That you, when you have a calamity, you don't have to add the work to this calamity by going at a distance to get help when the help may be much closer to home in this. Now, Proverbs 18:24, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And you may have a friend that is better than your brother. And of course, one can have fair-weathered friends, yes, and one can also have fair-weathered brothers who, you couldn't count on them for anything. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. Now, do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend. If you go looking for help beyond them, is that, in a sense, forsaking them? In a sense, saying, I don't want your help, though you could do it, I want this other help. Well, maybe. It may be of where you prefer something over them when they are ready to help, and they would willingly help. They would gladly do what needs to be done. And here's this power of friendship that is there. And once again, a friend may very well be born, exist, for the sake of helping you, and you being a friend also helping them. We go to verse 11. So we're in chapter 27, verse 11. My son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him who reproaches me. All right, this this sounds like it is a little bit more difficult than some others. We go to Proverbs 10 and verse 1, a wise son makes a glad father. But we also go to Psalm 119:42, so shall I have an answer for him who reproaches me, but that I may answer him who reproaches me. What would that be? What would the reproach be? Well, we have to connect these two subjects together. This is a proverb, two couplets, or rather a couplet, sorry. You have two parts of this couplet. They do go together by way of subject and theme. They go together. And so it would be that this father would be reproached because of a foolish son. All right, 1 Samuel chapter 2, beginning in verse 22, going to verse 25. God has a message for Eli, and that message is, your son's no good. Hophni and Phinehas, they are no good. And they are not just a minor irritation, they are a significant problem to Israel as a whole. Because they are priests. They serve as priests. Eli is high priest. And their sons are corrupt. They're just a couple of thugs. They're a couple of men that just do whatever it is they want to do. And they find themselves in a position to influence or to have power over people, and they do as they please. And if you have an obligation, as a Jew, if you have an obligation to worship God and you are to take your sacrifices to the temple to be presented to the priest, you can't do it yourself. You've got to present it to the priest, and the priest are the very ones you don't want to see because they're just criminal. They're the worst sort. They're womanizers. They are extortioners. They are that. They're doing whatever they want, and you have to go to them with your sacrifice. What is that going to do to Israel in serving God? Well, it's going to be more than a drudgery. They're going to hate going to the tabernacle with their sacrifices, because it's always an issue. And everyone, anyone that had to deal with them, didn't like it, unless you're just as wicked as they are. All right. Was that a reproach on Eli? It was, because you have created these monsters. They created themselves, but you're the father of these two monsters, and you have unleashed them, and they are priests. You could remove them as priest. You could do it. He's high priest. Obviously, he can see a priest as being immoral, having some major problem and not taken care of. Okay, you cannot serve. You cannot serve. He had that power. Now we also come to Samuel, and Samuel had the same issue of his sons doing the same thing. All we got to do is go 6 more chapters. 1 Samuel 8 verses 1 through 5, and or 1 through 3 anyway. And we see where he is approached by men. They are their elders of Israel. They are coming to him complaining about his sons. It is a reproach on Samuel, and they use it as an excuse for what they've been wanting for a while. They've been wanting a king. And so they are using his these sons of Samuel, these corrupt priests, as an excuse to say, okay, we need a king like the nations. All right. Well, the two don't go together at all, and one does not solve the other. All right. If you have the corrupt priests, getting a king doesn't solve the corrupt priests. It doesn't do it. Samuel can do it. Samuel, just like Eli, ought to be doing something about it. And Eli is condemned in the fact that he never really rebuked his sons. He showed concern over it. He did talk to them about it, but there was nothing put on them to stop. And now we have Samuel in a similar situation, and here come these men that are saying, okay, we want a king now. We don't want, because actually they are as judges, so I suppose in that respect a king would take care of that. But we have now this step of where God tells Samuel, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me. And they don't want me as their king. They want someone like the nations. They want somebody that's going to be impressive. And all they saw concerning the kings of the nations is someone that looked impressive. Regal on a horse. It has the robes, has the crown, and it just looks really, really good. Now, our proverb does not deal with that. Our proverb has to do with that of being a wise son, and I won't get any kind, or the enemies will not find their complaint against me. If you are wise, the enemies aren't going to find their complaint of, you're the one that unleashed this fool onto the world, therefore, you have a wise son. Now we go to verse 12. And this is a repeat. This is an identical verse, also in 20 and verse 16. But it's take the garment, I'm sorry, I lost my place. 22 and verse 3. Okay, so we're in verse 12. This identical verse in 22 verse 3. But a prudent man foresees evil and hides himself. The simple pass on and are punished. Okay, so here is the prudent man versus the simple. The prudent man sees a situation. The situation, prudent man sees this as this isn't good. This I see where this heads, and the final point in all this is not a good one. And so the prudent steps away from that. The prudent will hide himself, it says. Prudent is not going to be part of that. Something's up, something bad, and he can see it. Now the simple doesn't see it or doesn't care about it. The simple just continue on with it. Not seeing what the situation is, not seeing where it's going to develop into, and what happens, and the simple pass on and are punished. There was punishment at the end of that trail. The prudent is not going to take it. The simple is not even considering what could happen. Prudent isn't even considering. Maybe just things for the very, very short term, and not looking at what's a little bit further down the line in this. Well, it's punishment. And this is one of those repeated verses repeated proverb in the book of Proverbs. And my whole thing with these is take note. With every one of them, take note. They're being repeated for a reason, and you have to understand that the Holy Spirit is behind all of this. Holy Spirit is behind the entire design, everything about the Bible, how it has been put on the page and continues to us. Now, verse 13. We have an almost identical verse in 20 and verse 16. It's almost identical. Take the garment of him who is surety for a stranger. Now, understand that this stranger is not related to the one who's becoming the surety. All right, you have two people. The one who is getting the loan, whatever is being loaned out, all right, and that is a stranger to the one who says, yeah, I will guarantee this loan. I will be surety for this loan. They're not related. One is a stranger to the other. And then we have the second part of this, and hold it in pledge when he is surety for a seductress. All right, that last word changes everything. That last word lets us know, okay, this is not the man's wife. He is being surety for a loan for someone who is a known adulteress, and that's not his wife. There's something darker about this. There's something very shady about this, and she is unlikely to repay. She's very unlikely, and this whole thing is shaky, and it's a questionable arrangement. What is all this? And this is a situation where, why is he doing this anyway? There's some, you don't have to pry into it, but you can know this is dodgy. This is a shady sort of questionable relationship and arrangement, and something's not right about this. Now, it doesn't say don't give the any kind of pledge. Don't give anything to this other person, but that you better make this secure. You better make this very, very secure. Okay, what's a sugar daddy?
I don't.
Yeah, it is candy. It is a candy. It's where there's a rich man and he's got more than one. He's got a wife, but he also has someone who's got an apartment across town. Yeah.
Today's parallel would be co-signer.
Yes. Yeah, a co-signer. Yeah.
Stranger is
Uh-huh.
a foreign person or unknown to you.
Yeah.
It can also be adulterous woman.
Yeah.
And you just don't co-sign. If you co-sign, Scripture is clear, and I'll have to go look at it.
Well, yeah. It's already covered earlier in Proverbs concerning this. But this is for the one who is co-signing for this known adulteress, or she's an adulteress. That there's something's up, and you can be guaranteed it's not going to be long till there's going to be extreme trouble at home for that guy. Okay, and it's not your fault, but you make sure everything is covered for this. If you're going to allow this adulteress to borrow anything, and he's going to be the one securing it, and this would be where he has the wherewithal, he has the money, and she's obviously something on the side for him, and he is treating her, we would just say, with a lot of favor, and where she has, like what would be in our day, she has a house and he's the one paying the mortgage on it. Or he just out and out bought it. Or he is supplying an apartment or something like that. And this is for you as the one being, you can think of it as the banker. You as the banker, this is a shady situation. And just understand what it is, or what it could be. And you've done no wrong in allowing her to borrow, but you better make it secure. All right, you better make it secure. Now, verse 14. He who blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it will be counted as a curse to him. All right, there is a place and a time for everything, even for praise, for honoring someone. There is a place and a time for a tone. It's saying, with a loud voice rising early in the morning. All right, that is, I thank you for honoring me, but that was kind of annoying. All right, and it will be counted to him as a curse. All right, first off, we just have to ask a question because we have already seen it before in Proverbs, and we're gonna be seeing it again. Matter of fact, we just covered it not too long ago about someone who is not exactly sincere in this. They're not sincere. They are a flatterer. They are a sycophant. We have brought that word in every now and then. It's someone who just lavishes praise, someone who is just a follower and a worshiper of someone only for what they can get out of it. And that's what a sycophant is. And but here is this sincerity, and we may need to look at the last part of Proverbs 27 and verse 6. But the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. All right? Because this may be that. But nevertheless, even if everything is sincere, everything is good about this, there is a time and place for everything. And it doesn't need to be loudly first thing, before sunrise. And that something that would seem good to one is counted as a curse to the other. Verse 15. All right, 15 and 16 go together. It's a continuation. A continual dripping on a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. All right? So, let's just say this. Concerning this contentious woman, no one wants to be around a contentious person. Nobody. Proverbs 26:21, as charcoal is to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. All right, so this contentious woman here in verse 15, all right, she's not the problem with her, or she doesn't cause a problem just for her husband. It's for everybody around her. It could be her children. It could be other women. It could be employees. It could be fellow workers with her. Whoever, it could be people in the marketplace. It could be anybody. Anybody she's around. She can be a problem. Now notice the wording in here. Consider the mood and the imagery of something we seldom really do. But a continual dripping on a very rainy day. Because it all goes together. This is setting a mood. What is the mood in this? One of misery, one of that is just dark and oppressive, and it's nonstop. You have this very rainy day and this constant dripping that is going on. And it is this contentious woman who is there. And we go to verse 16. Whoever restrains her restrains the wind and grasps oil in his right hand. All right, she can't be stopped by anybody. She just can't. And she's just going to continue to do what she's this continual dripping on a rainy day. That is what she is. And no one wants, I'll repeat it again, no one wants to be around a contentious person. There's nothing good about that. You don't want a man to be toxic, and you don't want anybody to be toxic. You don't want a woman to be toxic. You don't want a child to be that way. You don't want to be around such people. And when we're talking about humanity, anybody can be this way. Anybody. Now, we have different imagery of this between 27:15 and 26:21. You have continual dripping on a rainy day. 26:21, charcoal to burning coals, wood to fire. That sounds much more destructive than the dripping on a rainy day. All right, that contentious man can be a whole lot more destructive in what he does, but he is not going to be just a problem for his wife. He's going to be a problem for anybody around him. Anybody. And, it's often said that, there's people that are famous they're actors, let's say, and they always play, kind of nice characters and whatnot. You don't know that person. You don't know them at all. And then suddenly you hear, well, he was really terrible to his family, and he did this or he did that or she did this, his mommy dearest, and all of this. And you find out, oh, yeah, well, I didn't know about that. And that you have behind the scenes, behind the, from the public image that they portrayed, behind the scenes, they were not good people. And you can't restrain her. You can't do anything other than get out from that circle if you can. Get out from her circle if you can. If you're married to her, then you're done. But now, verse 17. We mentioned this last week. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friends. This goes right back to the hearty counsel that one can get from a good friend, that iron is sharpening iron. There is good counsel, good advice, wise decisions. It's all going together to where you have a stronger, you become stronger, is what you do. When you're around a certain type of people all the time, let's just say they are very worldly, they are ungodly, you're around them all the time, it's going to wear you down and you're going to begin to wither away. If you are around faithful people and those interested in doing right and interested in learning and living by the Word of God, you have friends like that, that's going to influence you. You will become stronger because of them. And also be encouraged almost immediately because of them. Going through difficult times. And there it goes back to that proper friendship again of going through what is called a calamity up earlier in verse 10. That here, this person in your life, it's like automatically there is support and it's solid and everything is so much better now. And iron sharpens iron. Now we come to verse 18. All right, whoever keeps the fig tree will eat its fruit. Then we go to the next part of this. So he who waits on his master's house, on his master, will be honored. All right. So this is putting two things parallel to each other, as we see quite often here. The one who keeps the fig trees, well, he's allowed to eat some of the figs, or she's allowed to eat some of the figs. That a labor is worthy of his wages. 1 Corinthians 9 through 11, Paul writes concerning the do not muzzle an ox as he treads out the grain. That is from the Old Testament, and that is a law coming out of the law of Moses. And then he asks the question, is it oxen that God was concerned about? And then his answer is no. It's not just oxen God was concerned about. That there was a greater principle behind it. That if you would, don't muzzle the ox as it treads out the grain. The ox has a right to eat as the ox is working for you. If that is true for an ox, it is far truer, far more important for someone who's working for you. That's far greater in that. And it is just a principle that is there. 1 Timothy chapter 5 in verse 18, we have a similar verse in this. For the Scripture says, you shall not muzzle an ox while it treads out the grain, and the labor is worthy of his wages. Now, we look at the second part of this. So he who waits on his master will be honored. Matthew chapter 24. If if you're doing the work you're supposed to be doing, yeah, there is honor and reward for doing that very thing. Matthew 24, verse 45, who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his master made ruler over his household to give them food in due season. Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing. Assuredly, I say to you that he will make him ruler over all his goods. And continues on from there. All right? There is honor, there is reward that for the one who does what he's been called to do. And you have this simple sort of comparison, the one who keeps the fig trees, but also the ox. That is it, as Paul says, is it just oxen that God is concerned with? No, he's concerned for people. Is that, and there will be reward. All right, and here's this comparison between these two things. Now, verse 19. As in water, face reflects face, so a man's heart reveals the man. Jesus says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If you know where your heart is, you can know what you love and you can know what type of person you are. You can know it. And where is your treasure? But so a man's heart reveals the man. What do you love? And that's basically what you are. What you love reveals what type of person you have become. Now, that doesn't mean you can't change. Anybody can change, for good or for worse. But anybody can. And here is where the true man is, the true person, woman or man, is revealed right there. And of course, as we have mentioned, anybody can change. And of course, over time we do. Over time we do. As a child, there's one thing, and then as you grow up, it changes as you grow up. You learn, and that your heart should be with God always. And there is revealed a man who's going to be lawful, who's going to be faithful, who's going to make whatever sacrifices it takes to do the right thing. And that person is not going to be taken so much by foolishness. But if the simple loves simplicity, or the scoffer loves scoffing, well, that's where their heart is. That's the type of person that they are. Now, the next verse is scary. Verse 20. I'm reading from the New King James, and the first word is not the word in the original Hebrew, but I'm reading New King James. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. Now, hell works well enough, but that's we want to be truthful to the Hebrew. The word is Sheol, which is the realm of the dead. So it's Sheol and destruction will take whoever is next. All right, Sheol and destruction are never full. There could be the next person destroyed and die, and the next person destroyed, or the next generation. Sheol, or in the New Testament, Hades, that's the Greek, it represents the same place, two different names for the same place, because two different languages. But the realm of the dead is never full, and then it goes making a comparison then, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. So actually it is teaching in true biblical style multiple things in one proverb or in one verse. Hell and destruction never full. That's not a hyperbole. That's the truth. All right. But the next part of this, the next line, is where this heads. So, we could put also, The eyes of man are never satisfied. Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 8. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. All right, well, for my sake, I know that's true. That's true. You have the Acts chapter 17, you have the Athenians. What did the Athenians love doing? What did they love doing? To hear or to tell some new thing. All right, they live for that. To hear, and that didn't necessarily mean gossip, because what they're out to get from Paul, they know is not going to be gossip. They perceive that he is speaking of foreign gods, and well, unless it's gossip about foreign gods. But no, they are interested in what he has to say, because that's basically what they like doing. Such as on my part, if it's good music, I enjoy listening to good music. I mean, my ears, I guess there comes a point of where, okay, I've heard enough, I'll turn it off for the rest of the day. But the next day, I'm willing to listen to more if it's good. If it's not, I don't want to listen to it. But the eyes of man are never satisfied. Always something else. Always something more. And someone may think, well, I have we would call it the bucket list. I have the bucket list, and these are the things that I want to do, or the things that I want to see before I die. And in completing that list, will there be more added to the list? Probably. Yeah, probably. Okay, yeah, I saw that thing. Now I want to go see this other thing. I didn't know about the other thing earlier, but now I want to go see that. And yeah, the eyes of man are never satisfied. Whether it happens to be seeing fantastic things, or seeing beautiful things, or seeing, receiving, or the sight of receiving wealth, never satisfied at all. Now we come to verse 21. The refining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold, and a man is valued by what others say of him. Now, we can't, once again, I am reading from the New King James. I'm not entirely satisfied with this rendering, as has been the case occasionally in this, that I just don't like this rendering. Now, we could read it just like this, and a man is valued by what others say of him, and have to ask, okay, what's with the refining pot for silver and the furnace for gold, and a man is valued by what others say of him? That doesn't quite go together for me, because we're really talking about two different things. But could it be that a man is valued? It would be like an open market or a free market of this particular whatever it is. We would just say potato. Or this particular potato has a value that the market has placed on it, and whatever someone says, whatever the market says that potato is worth, that's how much that potato is worth. Okay, we could take it like that, but I don't think it's like that at all. There are better renderings in my thinking, and that go with the first part of this proverb. And Proverbs 17:3 has the same beginning. Now, the American Standard 1901 is a man is tried by his praise. The ESV, a man is tested by his praise. That works for me. That works for me. Where you have the refining pot is for silver. What's it for? It's for getting the dross off of it. Furnace for gold, and that would be for the same thing. Okay? It's for the same thing. We are refining gold. We are refining silver. A man is tried by his praise. Of someone who praises you, to what extent do you take that? With very, very young people, it's it's devastating to their life. It is devastating. Someone who is may still be in their teenage years or in their early 20s and praise everywhere they go. They are just praised in whatever it is that they do. It's just that they are surrounded by fans. They're surrounded by admirers and, let's face it, worshipers. They're surrounded by them. And I know if I had been in that situation, let's say at 18 or even at 20, that I would think that I am born different. I am above everybody else. I am special. And here is the proof of it, that everybody else, whatever, but I am above everybody else. And that destroys a person. It destroys, because eventually you find out you're not. And this, you can be tested by or tried by praise. The response to it. Is he going to be proud and arrogant and on a high horse, or remain humble? And Paul is given something to keep him grounded, given him something so he should not think too much about himself, because he had been given so many revelations. What was it? He was given something. He was given it by the Lord. A thorn in the flesh. And that was, whatever that was, it was a weakness, whatever that was, and I wouldn't say it's a moral weakness as some would have it. It's not a moral weakness. It would be some sort of physical weakness about him to keep him humble, to keep him grounded. You're not that important. I mean, you're worth as much as anybody else is worth, which is a lot, but you're not worth more than anybody else. And God still is no respecter of persons. He still isn't. And it could very well be that where in Paul planting a congregation here, planting a congregation there, and in returning to those places, that they're treating him better than they would treat anybody else. And while he can't really stop that per se, he can keep himself humble, especially if there is that thorn in the flesh, and knowing what that thorn in the flesh is to do. Now we come to verse 22. Though you grind a fool in a mortar with a pestle, along with crushed grain, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. Now, the book of Proverbs is to teach whomever. If you're wise, you gain more wisdom. If you are foolish, to get you out of that, to teach you out of that. But there is the type of fool that here is this imagery. You put them in this grinder, in this mortar, and then you have the pestle that is it would be this huge weighty thing, and grind them in this. You still, when all is said and done, you still have the fool. The fool still has foolishness to him. And you do have people that are like that they can be punished again and again and again and again. So recidivism is that, did I pronounce that right? Where you have someone that went to prison. They went to prison for 20 years. They get out, and when they were in there, they were planning what they were going to do when they got out. And so they go right back to what they were doing, go back into prison, come out and do whatever it is that they wanted to do to begin with, and they go back. And it's this steady thing of you can't grind the foolishness out of the fool. Now, really, it's going to take the heart to do that. A man can be punished, whether severely or whether just in a minor sort of way. But a man can be punished and learn better. They can learn better. But what did that? It was their heart wanting to do that. Someone that is just going to grit their teeth and wait for the next opportunity to do evil, well, it doesn't matter what kind of punishment you put on them. They are determined to do evil, and you can't break them from that. You can't break their heart so much. They've got to be the ones to change. And while punishment is necessary for the wicked, and that's for the protection of the innocent, punishment is necessary. That doesn't mean that you have somebody that ever learns. They might not. It's just up to the person. Okay, we have come to the end for today. I want to thank everybody. We will continue next time. Thank you.